Merry Christmas, everybody. Coming to you from Route 20, eastbound, somewhere in Iowa. I think I'm almost coming into Fort Dodge, Iowa. It's been a long trek. Left Ontario, Canada, drove through the States, drove through Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, went all through Wyoming, went up through Montana, up into Alberta to visit my niece. My niece just opened up a store up in Grand Prairie, Alberta. I made a video up there for Trip. The roads were all the side roads, service roads, they were all covered in snow, hard packed snow and ice, because it was snowing so much that the city plows couldn't keep up with the snow removal. Went up and visited her, started making my way back through Alberta, Saskatchewan. That's where I made the video, the little short about the red poles, because that's the border between Alberta and Saskatchewan. I stayed there for the night. The next day I rolled into Saskatchewan, rolled all the way through into North Dakota, stayed in Jamestown, left Jamestown, North Dakota, come through South Dakota. I could have went through Minneapolis and went back that way, but I'm boycotting Minnesota because the governor's a retard. Yes, I said it. TC Boggs would probably like that I called that governor a retard. But anyways, no, now I'm coming across Iowa. Gonna hunker down in Walcott tonight. And then tomorrow, get up early in the morning. I got another 10 hours to head her from home. Yeah, long ride, man, long ride. I just, you know what, I couldn't bear to be home for Christmas, you know. This is the first Christmas without Dad. You know, my dad passed away in the summertime, and those that know, I was looking after my dad. I was around even more when I dislocated my shoulder, which was a blessing in disguise. But, you know, the house is eerily quiet, right? Everybody in my family is gone. My mom, my dad, my sister. So, you know, went up and visited one of my nieces, my sister's youngest. She opened up a business. She's a school teacher. Gave that up to start her business. You know what they say, success starts and ends with you, right? I'm glad to see that she's like her mom. She's got drive, she's got ambition and vision. And that's what we're lacking nowadays. A lot of people, unfortunately, don't have any ambition. You know, there's nothing wrong with trying something and failing at it. Look at Colonel Sanders. When did Colonel Sanders become successful? When he was like 66 years old, something like that. He had a lot of failures, but he persevered, right? You guys got to get that mindset, the business mentality. You're not like all these guys that think they can run a trucking company because they're a truck driver. Being a truck driver is 5% of it. You know, being a business owner, you got to have that business mindset. You're not a truck driver when you have your own authority or your own carrier. You're a business owner, you know. And I don't fault anybody for trying. It's what I don't like is these bullshit lease purchases, but everybody's making videos about them. I know SoCal the other day was making a video about some chick that calls herself boss lady. She thinks she's some kind of high rolling, highfalutin, whatever. I don't know anything about her. I just was bored going through Alberta and coming into Saskatchewan. I just threw the YouTubes on in the cup holder and I was listening to it. And she was calling herself boss lady. And it got me laughing because I fired boss lady. Not that boss lady, but I fired one that kind of acted like she thought she was a boss lady. So though, as my dad started getting ill, I had PSWs coming to help out because of my arm. I couldn't really do much. Two ladies that I had, the one that would go work from, and I'd only have them come in the morning. At first, I had them come more frequently before I got hurt. Then when I got hurt and I was staying at home, I figured, you know what, let me do it. So I only had them come in early in the morning just to help out if something I couldn't do because my one arm was in the sling. But the one lady, she would come Monday to Thursday, and the other older lady, Sunday to Thursday. The other old lady would come Fridays and Saturdays. Both of them were fantastic people. Fantastic. Then somebody, I guess the nurse or whatever, because I'd have a nurse come every day, sometimes every second day, to check on Dad. And then, you know, when it gets closer to the end, that's when, you know, you talk about going to hospice. But anyways, Dad didn't want to be in a hospital, which I don't blame him, so we set everything up at home. We hospital bed, and as he couldn't do the stairs anymore, we got a commode. We did we had it all set up that, you know, he would be in the hospital bed and I would just sleep in a lazy boy chair in case he needed me. Instead of me going up and down the stairs, I was right there. So getting back to the boss lady, so they said, oh, can we send, so this is a service that, you know, they're the ones that hire the PSWs and personal support workers, and they're the ones that organize them and schedule them and everything. And they're like, can we try sending you one in the evening? I'm like, okay, fine. So one guy used to call every day, and I go, hey, what's going on? And he's like, he goes, I'm in front of your house. I go, already gave Dad his meds and he's sleeping right now. Everything is good. He goes, you don't need me? No, man. You know, you want to come and use my phone? Because they have to use your phone to prove that they're there so they get paid. And he's like, no. He goes, I'll use mine, because he goes, I'm in your driveway. He goes, mine's GPS tracked. They'll know I'm at your house. And I said, okay, perfect. So every day this guy would call and we would he was a pretty cool dude, right? You know, if one day I needed him to help me for something, I'd get him to do maybe one thing, he would come in and help or whatever. The lady the really good one that would come every day, oh well. We're still rocking. The one that would come every day was good. I'd get her to do maybe one thing, and then, or she would just come in and shoot the shit. I'd offer her a tea or a coffee or anything, and she's like, no, I'm good. Her and her husband are real estate agents, but the way the economy is, the housing market sucks. So she went to school to be a personal support worker to get extra money, and kind of felt bad for that family, so I kept her going. But getting back to the boss lady, now they used to come in the evening at 5. Like I told you, that guy used to come. So one day, 5 o'clock, nobody comes. 5:30, nobody comes. 6 o'clock, don't hear nothing. Da, da, da. It's almost 7:30. I'm almost ready to sleep because I've been up all day. Dad's sleeping. I'm gonna recline in the chair and I'm gonna get a few hours sleep before he wakes me up for his meds or something, right? Because I used to have to get up every 2 hours to give him his meds. So all of a sudden my phone rings and I look at the call display and it says boss lady. And this woman was like so arrogant and rude on the phone. And I'm like, who the fuck is this, kind of saying to myself, right? Yeah, I'm down the road from your place. I'd be there in 5 minutes. Hung up. So I met her at the door. She looked like she just got out of bed. I don't know what the fuck she was doing. I said, oh, what happened? I said, you're supposed to be here at 5 o'clock. And then the sucking of the teeth. And, whatever bullshit she was talking about. And I said, you know what? I said, Dad's already settled for the night. I got everything. Dad's sleeping. I don't need anything. Thank you very much. Have a great night. And I closed the door. The next day, because I got a bad vibe from her because on the phone, because of the attitude and the arrogance, and I'm like, hold on, you're dealing with elderly people, you're dealing with people that are on death's door, and this is how you treat me, this is how you treat anybody. And she was like, get back to when I had it out with her at the front. She says, well, I have to come in. I said, no, you don't. I said, this is my house. I said, my dad is sleeping. I said, everything is done. No, I'm coming in for a wellness check. And I go, first of all, who are you to do a wellness check? I go, I hired you. You're a personal support worker. Not for nothing, but, who are you to demand you're coming into my house? I had creepy vibes about her. And I was like, no. I said, if you got a problem, call the agency. Whatever. She didn't like it. She demanded entry. I said, no, man. Fuck, what are you, a cop? Where's your warrant? Anyways, closed the door. There was some hoopla. She went and cried to the agency. And they're like, oh, we're going to send the manager over to have a word with you and all this. And I'm like, you ain't sending no manager to talk to me. You want to talk to me? Well, listen, this is what went down. And I explained everything. I was polite. I said, but if you want the manager to come and hear what I got to say, I'll no problems. I said, the other two ladies are fantastic. I said, I'll keep them. The evening one, I don't need. Cancel the evening one altogether. They're like, are you sure? Yeah. So then their manager came over, and she was talking to me, and real nice old lady, and I was explaining everything, and I said, listen, not for nothing, but you're dealing with families. You're dealing with vulnerable people. Sometimes they go to places where the senior lives alone, and they have a key in a lockbox because they tell you to get a lockbox and put it outside your door, like a real estate agent, and they can go in with the code and then get the key so they can get access, right? Because some of the elderly people can't make it to the door, or they can't hear the door, or whatever. So you got people like this with this attitude. What does she want to do? Scope out what's around because, you know, she figures, oh, this man's 89 years old. Let me see, you know, if he's incapacitated. Let's see what I can, you know, lightly take. So I just, you know what? Just a bad vibe. Oh, sorry. The bad vibes. The creepy vibes. You know, fuck off. Oh, man. Sorry, guys. We'll leave it here. Fuck it. You guys know when you talk to somebody, you know your sixth sense should go off. You get the creepy vibes. The antenna goes up. And I even said to the manager, I showed the manager the phone. I said, listen, I don't know who this lady is. I go, she's supposed to be looking after the elderly. This is what her phone says, boss lady. I go, she not my boss. I go, is she your boss? Manager goes, no. I go, just the arrogance. I go, she was supposed to be here at 5, and then calls me at like almost 7:30, rolled up like it was no big fucking deal, and then demanded entry of the house. And I'm like, no, man. No. And then cried. Oh, that was it too. Cried to her manager that she can't go there because safety concern. So they wanted to do the manager wanted to come and make sure everything was safe, right? I said, yeah, man, come on in, have a coffee, everything's good. But she started this big kerfuffle. So I'm like, okay, fuck yous. Don't send anybody on the afternoons, the evenings. Done. Because usually I'm pretty good. When they come, I'll let them use the phone so they get paid. I don't care. I do the work because I'm looking after my dad. But they want to play that game, no problem. Fuck you. You don't get this call no more. Bye. Click. Whatever. I canceled her. I canceled boss lady. You know. She rolling up in her little I don't know what the fuck. What was she driving? Oh, a little Escort or something, all beaten up, like an old hoopty car, you know, all beaten up. Thought she was some player. She's gonna tell me how what time it is and what she's gonna do, and yeah. And then went and cried to her manager about she has safety concerns, and you know, because maybe my dad might have COVID and all this and the vid, and I'm like, fucking dad don't have COVID. Well, you know, she would prefer if your dad would, you know, if she comes and your dad would wear a mask and all that. Fuck off. I said, my dad ain't wearing a mask in his own home. Fuck you. I ain't wearing a mask in my own home. Fuck you. So, that, like I said, that boss lady stirred up all kinds of bullshit because I wouldn't let her in the house, because instead of her coming at 5 o'clock, she comes at 7:30. And then, I know I'm rambling a lot. I'm rambling. Half of you probably ducked out of this video already. But it's funny how SoCal was playing that video of this boss lady. Like, she thinks she's some
oh, I got 55 teams, and I got 75 teams, and I got 30 teams, and I got 73 teams, and you know, this girl gave me $15,000 for a lease purchase of a truck that I don't own and all that. Listen, I think SoCal covered it. You lease purchase guys have no rights to that equipment whatsoever. I could do a lease purchase. I could set up lease purchases, and for whatever reason, I could turn around and call the guy and say, "Bring back my shit." And then you go, "Boo? Yeah, bring back my shit." And the guy's like, "Wait a second, I only got one more lease payment and the truck's mine." There's no loads, man. Bring back the shit. And what's the guy gonna do? He can't go to the cops. He can't take me to court. He can't do nothing. It's not his equipment. So you guys leasing are, and I always say it, rent-a-center drivers. You're title chasing. Listen, nothing wrong with being a company driver. You know, W-2, get a nice pension, medical, dental, all that shit. You know, cover you. Something happens, cover you. Now look at me. March. It was March 26th, I believe. I fell in between two trailers. 5 o'clock in the morning. And I landed on my shoulder and I dislocated it. And I had to get the ambulance to take me to the hospital. Just think if I was a lease purchase guy. I would have lost that truck. No money coming in. Lucky I had savings. Lucky I was smart. When I ran my business. I paid into workman's comp. And I could use the workman's comp. When you guys are leasing, you guys got nothing. How you guys gonna cover that truck? How you gonna cover that note? You know, $4,000 a month truck payment. Are you guys whacked? Are you guys on crack? $4,000 a month on a truck? Goodness, as James Best would say. And then guys are making fun of me because I went to the auction. When I went to the auction, because I always look for the deals, and I grabbed that Volvo because it was a smoking deal. What if I could let it sit there for 50 years? It's not costing me a dime. But I bet you if when I put it on the road, fucking 2 trips, it would pay for itself. You guys, you lease purchase guys, man, you gotta think. You can't have the truck driver mentality. You want to be business owners, man. You want to have that business mindset. Like my niece that I went and visited in Alberta, see her new store. She has the business mindset. She has ambition and drive, just like her mother. My sister was like that too, always wanting to try to go to the next level, always wanting to try. And listen, and if something happens and you stumble, there's nothing wrong with that. Look at Colonel Sanders, Kentucky Fried Chicken. He didn't become successful until he was 65 or 60 years old, something like that. What about Ray Kroc, the guy that, McDonald's? He didn't start McDonald's. He fucking stole it, stole the idea, and blew up the franchise, and got into the real estate. But he was selling milkshake machines. He was in his late 50s when McDonald's took off and he became a multi-millionaire. Guys got to get out of that driver, I'm a truck driver, give me freight. No, come on, man. You want to be a business owner, be a business owner. You know what? You guys wanna get in the game. Go finance a truck. Go. You want a lease? Go get a lease. There's lots of leases through dealerships. Go. Packard has a lease. Volvo, I believe, has a lease. You could get it as all-in lease, like the maintenance and everything is covered. You just pay on the miles that you've driven that truck. Full maintenance lease. That's what it is. You're never going to own it. It's full maintenance lease. Do that. You know, they're cheap. I was looking into one. They're way cheaper than a lease purchase through one of these big mega carriers. You know, because after you guys pay for that truck, if you make it 5 years, time to trade it in and get another one. Or the smart thing is keep it and keep rolling. But if you guys did a full maintenance lease, you guys could turn the truck in every few years, get a brand new truck. That guy, I don't know his name, the one that SoCal and Chasing Andrew Jackson talks about. He wants a new truck. He always wants a new truck. I want new truck. I don't want to own anything. Blah blah blah. Well, then go get a full maintenance lease from Volvo. Fucking ride that bitch for 3 years. Turn it in. Get another one, and keep her going, and write off the lease payments. And then, if shit goes south with a company that you're with, you go, fuck you, I'm taking my equipment, I'm going elsewhere. You know? These fucking people, man, I tell you. You know? And these companies love to take advantage of stupid people. Like, I don't get it, man. You want to be do you guys know the old saying, don't have all your eggs in one basket? The fucking trucking company that you're signed on to controls your money. They control your freight. They control the lease purchase. So at any time, they can turn around and starve you out. I call it the never never plan. Because I remember when and this is a true story, in 91 or 92, when I first got into the business, I worked for a few companies, but this one particular company I went to, and I was driving a FLD 120. Was that the FLD 120 I was driving? No. Sorry, I lied. That was the other company I left, and I went, and then I drove. I was in coast to coast. The one I had was an International Eagle 9200, I believe they're called. Flat top. Wasn't even a condo. They had a couple of Volvos. I think they had 2 Volvos. They had one Mac. It was a brand new Mac. It was a Jewish guy used to drive that one. He loved that Mac. He was a cool dude. I can't remember his name. I remember liking his necklace all the time I would see it. He had the Star of David, big one, and I always admired it because it was really nice. And I'm not Jewish, but I admired it. I said, I really like that. That's nice. And he goes, oh, thank you very much. Nice man. I'm trying to remember his name now. It's fucking 1992, so long ago. And then there was the other guy, the African guy, drove the Volvo, and he always used to use the trolley brake to stop the truck in the city because he didn't want to wear out the brakes on the tractor, just on the trailer. But it wasn't even his tractor, it was the company tractor. And then one of the senior guys, they bought a brand new International Eagle and they gave it to him. And I think I got his old International, but it was the 9200, but it wasn't a raised roof, it was a flat top. But it had the fucking Polish snowplow on the top. But anyways, they had a Kenworth T600, blue one. It was the only blue truck they had. The rest were all white. That was the lease purchase truck. You wanted to drive that truck, you did it. While I was there with those guys, because remember, I drove for them and then I left and went to another company and then I came back because they were really good guys. I was learning to get my feet wet. I was learning the business, right? I was brand new. Greenhorn, as they say. But I remember 10 guys being in and out of that truck. Couldn't make it. They would get down to the last few payments and the company would starve them out. Starve them out for loads. Starve them out. And then the guys would get frustrated and then, oh, there's no miles. We got no freight. And then, usually there was no kerfuffle. The guy would just pack his shit and go on somewhere else because he didn't have the money to buy out the truck. Because the company would say, listen, you got the money to buy out the truck, you could buy it. Because they knew the guy didn't have the cash, right? But they went through 10 drivers, and I kept saying to myself, just think, those 10 guys doing a lease purchase on a truck, on a piece of equipment that company already owned, paid for a long time ago. Those guys were paying for the rest of the fleet. Those guys paid so that the guy that was the senior guy, and I got his International, he got a new one. Dan, I believe his name was Dan, so that Dan can get a decked out International Eagle with all the chrome, all the bells and whistles. He ordered it the way he wanted. The company said, Dan, what do you want? We'll get it. He goes, I want an 18 speed, I want this, I want that, I want chrome around the fucking gauges, I want the whole enchilada, I want this, I want that, I want the Eagle package, I want chrome everything. So that's what they gave him. Him and I used to we used to run down to Jersey all the time together. He'd have to stop in Batavia, New York. I remember at night we'd have to stop in Batavia at the one truck stop. We gotta stop there, DJ, on the way down. We gotta stop Batavia. And I'm like, okay. And he'd stop and see a little girl that he knew, and then we'd carry on because we wouldn't get fuel there. We'd stop in Hartford, PA on 81. Was on the side of a mountain. Was two little truck stops called Hartford, and we used to stop there, grab fuel. We'd only fill up one tank. We'd go down to Jersey, drop a load, pick up a load, and then come back. Because they didn't want us filling up in New York back then because of the taxes and this is before IFTA. This is when we had stickers for every fucking state on the side of the truck, and I think some of the states still had the bingo card, right, with little stickers. California, you had to get a trailer sticker back in the day. Back we used to go in there, 53-foot reefers. We used to have to go sneak them in at night and sneak them out at night because there was some kind of bullshit about permits or something, because that was just when they were coming on. And I remember those days. I remember having having a roll of quarters to make phone calls, right? Then the 800 numbers came out, and everybody had a 1-800 number or 1-888 number, and, you know, big wall of phones, right? With the DAT load board, dial-up truck, TV, and you would scroll through it looking for loads, right? Looking for a backhaul, and then you'd call. Hey, yeah. Oh, okay. Where are you? What's your MC? Brr, brr. And then, you know, dial a truck. But then, you know, then slowly the pagers would come in, and then, you know, cell phones. Oh fuck! When you got a cell phone, you were rocking, man. Fucking, because you had no computer in the truck back then. It was logbook, right? Loose leaf logs were my friend. You know, these guys talking about, oh yeah, back in the day, you know, guys would be running 2 logbooks. Bitch, please. Never had 2 logbooks in my life. Just got to know how to run one and run it proper. I'll teach you guys one day. I'll show you. But no, it's getting back to the lease purchase shit. I wouldn't do it. I'm sorry. I've seen it all. Even back in the 90s, we used to call it the Never Never Plan. Ask any Canadian, they'll tell you. They know stories. Like, I'll mention one company, Fredericks Transport. Any Canadian remembers Fredericks Transport? Never Never Plan. Brookville, out of New Brunswick. Never Never Plan. Trying to think of another company. What was the other? There was a few other ones. They were all Never Never Plans, man. Never paid for it. Never own it. You get down to the last. I remember when Scott Lynn. You guys talk about Scott Lynn hauling produce and everything. I remember when that guy first started. He was doing those Never Never Plans and starving people out. And look how big they are. You got to see the guy's house. The guy that owns Scott Lynn. Oh my God. In Ontario, it's massive. Because all these Never Never Plan guys paid for his house. He ain't living in no fucking double wide. But, you know, I understand that, you know, people are hungry to want to be a business owner. You want to be a business owner? Be a business owner. Do it the right way. Don't do a lease purchase because you're trying to chase a title, because you want to sit at the bullshit counter and turn to the other guy and go, oh, you're a company guy? Oh, I'm a lease guy. No, man. Lease, back when I started, and I think SoulCal's dad was talking about it, which is true. Lease had a whole different term when I started driving. You were leased on to somebody. Like, I own the truck. It's my truck. I'm leased on to whoever the company is. Like, I'm leased on to Hirschbach. And then on the side of the truck, I would have my name on it. I would have their numbers. But then I would have on top, I would have leased to Hirschbach, because it's my equipment, my plate, because I would add my own plate, and I would be leased onto them. That you were leased onto. There was no such thing as a lease purchase. Then when they came out with this lease purchase, companies are like, hold on a second, we can get the driver to pay for everything. We can get them to pay for the truck, pay for the fuel, pay for the maintenance, and we still get a profit? Sign us up, boys. And then it fucking snowballed because companies weren't making money on the freight. So they're like, they needed another source of income. Hey, fuck, let's get the driver to pay for everything. Let the driver have all the risk, and we kick back and do nothing. fuck, you might as well go back to the old days, the ICC, man. Interstate Commerce Commission, when you did a trip lease, you know, because let's say I had an authority to run out to California, but I needed a load back, I would trip lease with somebody out there, you know, like we'll use SoCal for example. Call up SoCal, I need a load to Toronto, you got anything? Yeah, okay, this is the rate, okay, I'll take it. And then now I sign a trip lease through him as my backhaul. That's how they used to do it, because not everybody was granted authority to run wild and run rockshaw all over the fucking place. And then, because as a Canadian, we can't pick up freight and deliver freight in the States. We have to pick it up, take it to Canada or Mexico. Or if we're bringing freight down, it's from Canada to the States. We can't pick up in, say, Iowa and drop it in Michigan. No, you can't do that. That's taboo, man. No interstating. You can't interstate. But we used to call it gypsying. That was the old term, gypsying. So you would take a load, you take a load from Toronto and you go to Vancouver and you drop the load in Vancouver, but there's no freight in Vancouver. You have a reefer. You go down to Spokane, Washington, you pick up apples. And you'd run those apples down to Arizona. And you made up bullshit bill of lading just in case you got pulled over because you're gypsying, right? You take that load down to Arizona, drop the load of apples at a market or something, then you would head on and you'd grab onions and you pick up onions, and then you would take your onions back to Canada or wherever, right? But usually I take them back to I would take them up to Oxford, Nova Scotia, McCain Foods. I would take it up there. I would do that, and then when I was in the produce game, go down to Florida. And you guys know, even back in the 90s, the rates coming out of Florida was shit. So the guy that owned the truck, he owned 7 trucks, but he never drove. He had guys that drive brand new trucks, brand new trailers. I drove for him for a while. And he gave me a brand new T600. I remember it was red, Viper red. It had all the gold lettering on it. The reefer trailer matched. It was, red accents on it and the red stripe down the side. Had all the chicken lights on it and everything. It was cool. We would go down to Florida. Oh, I took a load of water one time from Maribel, Quebec, Naya Water. And that was back when Coke used to distribute Naya Water in the States before they started their own water company, Dasani or whatever bullshit water. But before they used to distribute that water, Naya used to be the distributor for them. So take loads down to Florida, and then you try to find a produce load back. And I forget what it was a load of melons, pee-wee watermelons. They wanted to take melons up to Montreal, and the rate was shit because I used to have to book my own freight, And I used to have a big red book in the truck for all the markets and all the produce guys. Used to have a big, look like a big Bible. And you pull that book out, you're in whatever, and you call them, and that's how you got loads and shit back then. And now it's sophisticated. It's all computerized. And then they would call you. They would call you and say, "Hey, where are you? I have this. Oh, I'm over here. Oh, fuck, I need." Usually I'm in the wrong state at the wrong time. And those guys needed me. But anyways, so they wanted to load them. The rate, I forget what the rate was, but the rate was garbage. And I called Ted, the owner. I said, "Ted," I said, are you crazy?" I said, "Why are we taking this load to Montreal?" And he goes, "Well, we need a load to Montreal." He goes, "I know it's not Toronto, but it'll keep the wheels going." And I go, "Ted, I could get a load of," I forget what it was, just general freight. I said, "I can get a load to New York, and I could grab a load of bananas, and I could bring the bananas to Toronto." And I said, the load of bananas, even if I went up from Florida empty back then to New York to grab the bananas to Toronto, still paid more than what that melon load paid for. And he's like, "Are you sure? Are you sure? You can do it? You can do it?" I go, "Fucking right, I could do it." He goes, Okay, do it. What do you need from me?" And then, fax me shit. Here's the fax number. I'd be at the shipper. Fax me these bullshit bills or whatever. And then we do it, man. We just go get a load of bananas and fucking head her home. Or go up to New Jersey and go to Tropicana and grab orange juice and head her for home. Fuck bringing melons from Florida. Melons paid, I don't know what melons pay now, but back in the 90s, melons paid shit. And every time you got there, because they loaded on the floor, it was damage. Half the melons they wouldn't take. Then you had to dispose of them. Then you had to get a trailer washout and all that bullshit. Fuck that. Stick the melons up your ass. I don't want the melons. But now, trucking is so much easier. Fuck, everything's at your fingertips. On the phone. On the computer. You got a computer. You got a phone. You could get Starlink in your truck. Fuck, you're hooked up to everything. Not like when in the old days, roll of quarters and, "Oh my God, let me pull over to this truck stop and call my travel agent." Because I was the dispatcher back then, was your travel agent. "Where are you sending me today?" "You want to go to Iowa?" "Fucking bitch, I'm in Iowa right now." No. Oh yeah, speaking of Iowa, I remember the first company I worked for, he was a cool dude. He had a contract of picking up trailers, loaded trailers, and bringing them back to Toronto from Iowa. We used to bobtail from Toronto, Ontario to Iowa. And we used to have to go around the scales because we didn't have permits for Iowa. This is back before IFTA. I think the farthest we could go was Indiana. We didn't have a permit for Illinois. We didn't have a permit for Iowa. So he gave us a map. And he says, "Okay, this is how you go. You got to go around the scales, right?" And me and a guy, Steve, he's French-Canadian, young guy. He was like 18, and he was going down into the States, because back then you could get your license when you're 18, but you got to be 21 in the States. The owner didn't care. Steve would go with me. Him and I would bobtail. That's when he gave me, what did I have? Oh, I had the international cab over for a while. And Steve had an LTL 9000 with the coffin sleeper, red and white one. Then Arnold sold that truck when Steve left. Steve moved back to northern Quebec to haul lumber, and he sold the truck to a guy, and the guy was shipping it to Africa. And then I got, what happened? Oh, they kept a cab over in the city. They gave me an international, I'm trying to remember, 9700, 9400. And then after that, I got a black LTL 9000 with the bigger bunk on it. It was called a Micmac bunk. It was a custom bunk. Micmac they used to build bunks back in the day up in Canada. They were cool sleeper. And then he had the identical sister truck to that, was a dark blue one called Jake Blue with a 15 double over. Sometimes I would take Jake Blue, and yeah, you'd see me coming down the road, because the big old blue bug defector on the front was a blue truck with the blue bug defector from the 70s, and it said Jake Blue on it. And that was a fast truck with the old cat, mechanical cat, and that fucking thing would scream. So anyways, we would bobtail 9 hours, 10 and a half hours to Iowa, pick up loaded trailers, and run them back up into Canada. But we'd have to dodge the scales in any scales in Illinois or Iowa. We were I think we were okay in Indiana, Ohio, New York, and Pennsylvania, New Jersey. We had those stickers on the side of the truck for those. This was back before IFTA. And then when IFTA first started, I remember getting, you'd get fuel and you'd push the intercom to get authorization for them to turn the fuel pump on. They want to know your truck number and your company. And then some fuel stops would want to know your IFTA number. And then I used to say on the PA system, IFTA had a permit, I would tell you. Some of the girls laughed, some of the girls didn't think it was funny. But I'd give them a number, and they never looked it up. Fuck, I think we had one IFTA number for the whole fleet. But yeah, that was, working for that guy. That was running like legit outlaw, man. Fucking loose leaf logs, the whole enchilada. But you ran your face off. I remember 91 working for him. He was the first company I started for. And back and forth to New Jersey, or back and forth to New York City, or always like 500-600 mile radius of Toronto. And I remember going back and forth to Long Island and bringing home, in 91, bringing home $1,000 a week. But you ran your face off. You'd run all night. We'd go out to Long Island, so you'd leave Kitchener. Kitchener would be good. That would be a good place. It was called Custom Trim. They used to do all the leather for the steering wheels. And there was a place in Yaphank, Long Island, that would manufacture the steering wheels. They would ship them up to Waterloo, Ontario, which is beside Kitchener, Ontario, to a company called Custom Trim. They would wrap the leather around the steering wheels. They would ship them back to Long Island, and then they would put the cruise control buttons on and whatever they had to, and then they would ship them off to whatever manufacturer they were making the steering wheels for. So there was two of us. If I was in Waterloo, the other guy was in Long Island, and then we would pass each other in the middle of the night. We'd be on Route 17. We'd pass each other and Dansville, usually around Dansville. We pass each other in the middle of the night. And that was okay, man. I used to do 3 trips a week because we would alternate. We would do 2 and 3, 2 and 3, 2 and 3. The guy that would run with me, he was an older man, and he says, listen, it's summertime. He goes, I only want to do 2 trips a week. He goes, because I want to go play golf. He goes, could you do 3 trips a week? And I said, no problem. So we went to the owner, and he said to the owner, he says, yeah, I made a deal with the young fella. He's going to do 3 trips a week, and I'm only going to do 2. And Arnold's like, are you okay with that? And I said, yep. So I would do the 3 trips a week, and I would bring home $1,000 a week. Bring home after everything, fucking in my jeans. But when you got home, you were tired because I'd come home, I'd sleep, get up, bobtail from Toronto to Waterloo, pick up the loaded trailer, and run down there. And sometimes they might only have 4 skids on that trailer, but they paid exclusive, right? They paid for the whole load, so there were light loads and you could fly. Just 17 was fucked up where you went through all those little jerkwater towns, but I think now it's all improved now. Now it's all like one big fucking interstate. Now you can just fly and boogie, but back then, no. But it was a good gig, man. It was a good gig. You go out to Long Island, you pulled into the receiver, you get out early. Back when the GW bridge was $20. I want to say $20. You get out to GW, you'd be there about 4:30 in the morning, no traffic, going through you go out through the Bronx Expressway, nobody there. Get out to Long Island, Yaphank. You'd pull into the receiver, walk in, tell the guy, he knows you, he'd see your face, right? Okay, and he'd whip them off, and then you'd go out in the back, park the truck, and you would sleep, because that night they would reload you and send you back. It was all night running. And I remember a mansion, there used to be a mansion behind that factory, and it had a helicopter pad in front of the mansion, and never seen anything like that. And I go, what the fuck is, I asked the guy on the forklift, what's with the helicopter pad? And he goes, oh, that guy, he works in Manhattan. And I'm like, oh. So every morning when I used to get there, I would hear the helicopter, because the chopper would come, pick him up, and fly him into Manhattan. And I'm like, man, that dude's got some fucking money if he's getting a chopper to come pick him up every morning. He's living out on Long Island. But I think that factory's gone. If you Google it, they talk about it, that they shut her down. I know custom trim is long gone. And then, here's another story about that place. So I used to walk in the morning, and that place would be packed with people, because it was a factory. They built steering wheels, and a lot of them were Hispanic. There was a few white guys and a few black guys, but most of them, 99% of them were Hispanic. One day I walked in, and there wasn't a soul around, just the guy on the forklift. And I go, hey, where is everybody? Is it a holiday that I don't know about? And he goes, nope. He goes, immigration's coming. And I'm like, what? He goes, yep. He goes, they call us the day before, and they say that they're coming to do a spot check. So he said, the company makes an announcement. Anybody that doesn't have any papers or can't prove their status, don't come to work tomorrow. So they all took the day off. immigration comes and the 4 or 5 guys that work there that have proof, they did their spot check, and then the next day it would be full again. There was no like, not now, like they would do a full ICE raid where they would just bust down the joint and grab everybody. Back then they used to call that company and say, hey, by the way, we're doing an inspection tomorrow, we're coming out. So they would pre-warn them. I was like, holy fuck. So if you stuck with me this long, I'm rambling about these stories, but I promise you, some of it's interesting. So that guy, Yampag, Long Island, on the forklift, I used to talk to him all the time, and we would talk about wrestling and all that back in the day, right? This is early 90s. We'd talk about wrestling, and he goes, next time you're up here, and he goes, WWF back then, he goes, when they come to the Madison Square Gardens, he says, I'll take you to a wrestling match. He goes, have you ever been to one? And I said, no. And he goes, I'll take you. And I go, we're out all the way out here. I go, how the fuck are we going to get there? He goes, no, you don't understand. He goes, we'll take the train. He goes, the train's just down the road. It'll take us right into the city. And he goes, we'll go right to Madison Square Gardens. He goes, one night you and I'll go. I go, okay, no problem, brother. A few weeks go by, and then I see him, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And he goes, you didn't hear? This is my last week. I'm leaving. I said, where are you going? He says, I got a job with Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And I go, Smoky Mountain Wrestling? What the fuck is that? He goes, wrestling company. He goes, I did a tryout. He goes, they're going to give me an opportunity. He goes, I want to be a wrestler. He goes, we talk about wrestling. He goes, I want to be a wrestler. And I'm like, oh, okay. Cool, man. Like, good luck to you. Real nice guy. So years later, I'm sitting at home and watching TV, WWF, and they introduce the Dudley Boys. Bubba Ray and the other guy, the 3 guys, right? And the big guy comes out, and I look at him and I go, hey, that's that guy that was on the forklift. Yeah, that's him. Well, back then there was no Wikipedia and all that to Google Buddy's name and all that. And I go, I swear that's him. That's him. That's the guy from fucking Long Island. Guy's from New York, man. I guarantee he's from New York. This was like they were like debuting, right? Well, don't they say he's from New York City? I'm like, you see, I fucking told you. That's the guy. I used to talk to him. He's a forklift guy. And I was like, fuck, man. How do you never know, right? Like, you never know who you meet on the dock, you know? He's like, yeah, I'm leaving. Going into Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And then years later, he's like, fucking walking on TV. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Good for him. Yep. So you never know who you meet, right? Who else did I meet on the road back in the day? Conway Twitty's bus driver. I met him on the road. We're shooting shit one night. I met Conway Twitty's bus driver. I met Hank Williams Jr. I met his bus driver, and he told me he could have went and worked for other acts and other bands and stuff, but he goes, no. He goes, I'm loyal to Hank because Hank's treated me well. I'm staying with Hank. And I think that guy did, like, if I'm not mistaken, I think that guy was with like Hank for like 30 years after that. Like, he just, loyal, right? See, that's loyalty, man. Somebody treats you right, you treat them right. And it pays off in the end. So, yeah. So you'd be surprised who you meet on this road. I ain't meeting nobody out here in this fucking fog, I tell you. But, yeah. But these are, yeah. This is, foggy roads. But I'm just rambling because I want to get to... What do I got? I got another 2 hours? What's the old GPS saying? 2 hours. 2 hours to shut down. And, yeah. Well, if you guys made it to this far, I appreciate it. I know I'm rambling a lot. But hope you guys have a Merry Christmases. Yeah. We're just trucking along in the old pick-em-up truck. And yeah, I think I did like 700 miles yesterday. Gonna be like another 700 today. It's okay. Truck's running good. Just fuck all is open out here. That's all, because of Christmas Day. Like, there's no few and far between. So it was good when I was in North Dakota. I filled it up, and then where I would I'd let it get down to about a half a tank and then top it off, just in case, because especially last night, everything closed up as soon as I crossed the border. Well, when I was in Saskatchewan, before I crossed the border, a lot of the gas stations ran out of fuel. They had no fuel. They didn't get their delivery. So they would have a note on the thing: no gas today. So, lucky I had enough. I got to a spot and I filled it up. And then, like I said, gets under about a half tank, I'd stop, because you're in the middle of fucking nowhere in the prairies, and last thing I want to do is run out. So then, coming through North Dakota, South Dakota, a lot of places are closed. Like McDonald's, all the fast food joints are all closed Christmas Day, which is fair. Give the people a day off. But where I live, all that shit would be open, like your McDonald's, your Burger King, all that, because the population's huge. But these small towns, they could afford to close. I think every place should close on Christmas Day. Give the people a day off. Like, what do you need a Dollar General to be open on a Christmas Day for? Like, fuck off. You can get the shit tomorrow, or you know, get the shit a day before. But keep a couple of the gas stations open for people traveling. All the hotels that I've stayed at, they were saying that tourism was really low this year. I haven't seen any other Canadian plates. I see lots of Texas. A lot of trucks that pass me are from Texas. Especially when I was going up I-15 at, oh no, it wasn't I-15. Sorry, when I was coming out of Casper, Wyoming. Not Jasper. Jasper's in Alberta. Casper, Wyoming. There's a bunch of there was a bunch of white pickup trucks that went by me with those big white bullshit looking tires on them. They're all from Texas. Seen a few from Florida, California, New York. The last rest area when you're going westbound before you get into Council Bluffs, there was a guy from New York City. He was broke down, and I tried to help him, and I didn't have a hammer in the truck. His air conditioning compressor seized right up. So I was like, if I can get that pulley to work, because it was all seized up. The clutch was free, but the pulley was seized, and the belt was just smoking. So I didn't want to leave him stranded. We were trying with what we had, and then a guy came in that was he was hauling one of those wind turbine blades, big huge fucking blade, eh? And Buddy gets out of the truck. He's all tattooed up, his head, face, everything, like. And he walked on by us. I could see he was on a mission. He had to go to the bathroom, right? So I didn't say anything to him. And then when he came out, I said, hey, brother, I realize you're really, really busy. I said, I'm trying to help this young man that's broke down. I go, you wouldn't happen to have a hammer, would you? And he goes, no. He goes, let me call. So he called on the radio, the truck that was followed him. He said, hey, can you bring the truck up and get some tools? So then all of us were fucking around with the tools and we're trying to loosen it off, and it was seized up solid. And we asked the guy, he said, how long have you been driving it like this? And he goes, it was making noise like 3 days ago, but he said, now I notice it's smoking. So yeah, so like the fucking thing was, he probably heated it up so much that it just rock solid heated up. So I'm Googling mechanics in the area for him to call, and he called one guy, and the guy goes, yeah, e-transfer me $90 and then I'll come out there. And I'm like, I wouldn't e-transfer that guy shit. I go, you pay him when he comes here. I go, you pay that guy before he comes and he not even show up. So there was one not far down the road, and he called the guy, and I said, yeah, call the guy and talk to him, tell him what you need. Say, listen, even if you can get a smaller belt and bypass that air conditioning compressor, I go, you don't need air conditioning now. I go, get a smaller serpentine belt, because he was driving to California. So he called around. One guy wanted $1,500 to do that compressor. $500 tow bill to tow him in the Council Bluffs, and then do the repair. And I'm looking at the car, and I'm saying to myself, the car's not even worth $1,500. So he was calling around, and I'm like, everybody's like leaving early, and wasn't even, what was it, it was Saturday. It was a Saturday, that's why a lot of shops were closed. But yeah, the one tow truck to tow them 2 miles down the road, they wanted $580. I said, $580, 2 miles? I said, I would drive that 2 miles. He goes, what do you mean? I go, what's the worst gonna happen? You're gonna smoke the belt, and then your alternator's not gonna work. You're gonna live off the battery. Water pumping gonna work. I said, it's cold. It ain't gonna overheat. I said, you're gonna run till the battery dies, but I'm sure you got enough in that belt to get you 2 miles to that shop. And I said, and if they don't have it, and I said, I would bypass this compressor, get a smaller belt, and rock on. And even the couple of truck drivers that came up were fucking around with the car. They were like, yeah, man, get a smaller belt. It's like, and another guy come, and he's like, yeah, you know what you need? You need a smaller belt. And me and the guy that was hauling that big blade were kind of looking at him like, no shit, Sherlock. Let me just pull one out of my ass right now. But because if that belt, if it was like the old school cars, where it was like one belt just driving that air conditioning compressor, but the other belts were running the alternator and the water pump from the crankshaft, I would have just cut the belt to the air conditioner and say, fuck it, and roll on. But no, this is the serpentine belt. It's all one big belt. And I was like, fuck. And Anthony is his name. Anthony. I told him my channel name. I don't know if he's watching, or I don't know how he made out. He lives in California, but his family, he has extended family that own what do they call it? Exterminating business out in New York, out on Long Island. And they said, if you come out, because he lost his job, and they said, if you come out, we'll teach you everything about the extermination business. And then when you go back out to California, we'll help you set up. And you can open up a location out there to do exterminations. So I don't think he was too keen on that. So I turned to Anthony and I said, "Do you got a CDL?" And he goes, "No." Because he was impressed by that truck with the big blade. And I was showing him the trailer. I said, "That's a custom-made trailer." And I said, "You see that guy back there in the pickup truck?" I said, he controls the back of that trailer. He's got the remote." He goes, "Really?" I go, "Yeah, this is big boy toys and big boy money." I go, "Anthony," I go, if you're not happy doing this exterminating business, brother, I go get a CDL and jump in a truck. I go, "Listen," I go, "there's no shame being a company driver." I go, "If you can't afford to go get your license," I go, "find a company that'll help you get your CDL, but a lot of them you'll have to stay for like a year, sign a contract, or if you leave early, you have to pay the monies back. But go in it with the mindset that you're only going there to get your foot in the door, get some experience. You're not staying there forever. You're going to get your CDL. They're going to help you get your CDL. Yes, you're going to eat shit for a year, and then, you know, you get that experience behind you. You can move on. You know, if you decide, you know, you have the business mindset, you want to go buy a truck, run your own authority, you might as well scratch up their shit before you buy your own shit and scratch up your shit. But, you know, go into it with that mindset that, you know, this ain't my forever company. This is my opportunity to get into the business. This is my opportunity." And he's like, and I go, he goes, "Oh, I should look into it. I should look into it." Because I don't think he's too keen on the exterminating business. He didn't seem to like it too well. Driving his little Mazda he was driving from New York out to, where was he going? I'm trying to remember. San Bernardino, I think San Bernardino out there somewhere. And he's, I told him, man, I said, I go, "Listen," I go, "you speak English? You can read English?" I go, "Anybody will hire you." I go, because I go, "there's going to be a driver shortage." And he goes, "Really?" And I go, "Yep." I go, "Because they're going after these non-domicile CDLs. They're going after the English proficiency." I go, you can sign your own ticket, man." I go, "But go in there, but don't expect that you're going to make big boy money the first day. Like, you're not going to be able to pull that blade there." I was pointing to that trailer. I go, "You know, with no experience." I said, "You got to get the experience, and then, you know, you want to go and do shit like that. There's places that'll hire you once you get some, you know, show that you can work for a company for a year or 2 years. You know, they're all basically the same, right? You know, don't chase pennies. Don't step over nickels to chase pennies, right? Just go in with the mindset, I'm gonna work this company. They're helping me get my CDL. I know that they're a fucking CDL mill, but I can't afford to get my CDL on my own, so I'm going to use them." And I go, "Listen, you're single, you don't have an apartment, you don't have a house, go jump in the truck, man. Go bank the loot, man. Just go and bank the loot. And I go, you put your mind to it, you can do well. So I think he was impressed by that. Guy had a 3-axle tractor with that big trailer hauling that blade. But that's big boy money. That's big boy toys. You know, that's custom made trailer. I think the last time I looked at one, I think they were like over $300,000 for that trailer. I know the company up in Canada that builds them, but I think that's going to be a dying business soon because Trump's not a fan of these wind turbines. Apparently these wind turbines are not paying off. They're not, you know, they only last 15 years, they said, and they're non-recyclable. They cause all kinds of problems, like for the whales and for the birds, and they're finding out that they're not environmentally friendly because they can't recycle them. They don't know what to do with the blades and shit. There's oil in the motors because they need oil. Everything needs oil for the lubrication, and the power output, I think, is only like 30%. So they said, yeah, it's not cost effective. You know, it looks good on paper. And then a lot of companies now are walking away because the government is stopping their subsidies. So a lot of these companies are saying, if I can't get the government kickback, government subsidies, then we're out of the wind turbine business. But maybe that'll be the job, to go around with that trailer when they start dismantling all of them and hauling that shit away, because they got to put those blades somewhere. Probably be a big piece of property out in the desert somewhere with all those blades. Because I was looking at that blade up close and I was like, holy fuck, it's massive. But yeah. The green new scam. The green scam. Yeah. Well, I rambled enough. I don't think anybody's going to be watching this all the way through, because I'm not talking shit. Maybe I'll try to figure out how to cut this video up and take points out of it. I was just rambling, just to not keep myself awake, but keep myself busy, because we got a long ride. We're hour and a half to Walcott. Yeah. Yep. Like I said, hour and a half to Walcott. Anybody there? We'll buy your Christmas dinner. Well, let's hope they put a Christmas dinner on. Let's hope. On that note, peace, everybody.